What about, you told me one time about a story about him and the Sheik. Tell me the story.
Well, you know, once again, Andre really liked being around Jack and he would talk wrestling a lot. I mean, not professional wrestling or anything, but he would talk like fighting, you know, and like shooting wrestling, you know. And hey, boss, you think I'd done any good? Well, hell, you know, when it was unlimited, he would have been, you know, like Chris Taylor, you know, he'd been undefeated. Then he started having the damn weight limits, but Andre would have been great because he's so damn agile. People forget what kind of athlete this man truly was. I've seen him jump over the top ropes. I've seen him do all kinds of stuff in the ring. But one night we come in and Iron Sheik is in the state of Florida, in Florida Championship Wrestling there, and he's working the loop for us for a couple of weeks. So. He had just left, I think, Minnesota or somewhere like that, and had a little issues with Andre. And Andre didn't like him because Andre thought that Sheik was a bully. And I love Sheik to death, as you do, you know. And he's the furthest thing away from a bully. He's a pussycat, really, you know. But he's a good guy. And he had that tough reputation. And a lot of times when you have that tough reputation and you just get a little stiff on somebody, then somebody's pointing the fingers at you. Hey, you guy tried to stiff me, you know. So the word got out to Andre that Sheik was a bully. So we're in the Bayfront Center. Bayfront Center here in Tampa was our biggest building, was our money show. It was like the Madison Square Garden and Florida, you know, the Bayfront Center. We're all sitting in the dressing room. Andre slides his chair over to Jack and I's locker, and he said, "Hey, boss, watch the match tonight." And he starts asking us, how do you go into a Nelson, you know, when a guy, and so we're telling him, he was wanting us to show him, and Jack and I, neither one, you know, going to get up to try to put a half Nelson on Andre, you know. So we're just telling him, we're verbally telling him how to do it. He said, "Watch this match tonight, boss." So, you know, Andre goes out for his match against the Iron Sheik, and they're supposed to go about 7, 8, 9 minutes. So Andre gets out there, and that bell rings, and we're all gathered around the curtain. You know, back in the old days, how everybody used to gather around the curtain and watch a match. Well, by now, the entire dressing room knows some shit's going to happen. And it's the same on the other side. I don't know if the referee went over and told him, or if Iron Sheik was just pooping his pants and soiling his pants and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to get the crap beat out of me tonight." Plus, everybody wanted to see if Andre could really beat the crap out of the Iron Sheik. So
Sheik was tough.
He goes out, bell rings, the curtain, backstage curtains are full. Everybody's standing around, the bell ring, ding, ding, ding. Like I said, they're supposed to go 7, 8, 9 minutes for Andre going over, of course. So it starts out, Sheik comes up, you know, Sheik's doing this stuff, his gimmick, and Andre just does that 1, 2, 3 step, and he's in, you know, right in Sheik's corner by the time he takes 3 steps. So Sheik can't move. So Andre, they go to lock up. When they go to lock up, Andre locks up with him. And John, you know yourself, you can see when somebody locks up in a working lockup and when somebody locks up in a tight lockup. Andre locked up. Sheik's legs literally started going like this as he was getting smaller. He fell right straight to the ground because when he locked up, Andre headbutted the damn guy. So Sheik, he's down on the mat now, and I mean, he's dizzy. And Andre's walking around him like, "Get up." Well, hell, you just headbutted the guy, knocked him in the Lululand. You know, he can't get up. So referee finally does his job, gets him back. Sheik gets back to his deal. Andre rushes over to Sheik in his corner. He grabbed him like in one of those old-fashioned bills I don't guess they do anymore. But he grabbed him under the arm, over the head, and he's in the turnbuckle here, and he takes one step, and he tosses Sheik. And Sheik's back then you had those can lights hanging down for ring lighting. So Sheik's feet almost hit those damn can lights, and he hits that mat. You could just hear it, boom, boom, boom. And you could hear Andre, "Get up, get up. And Sheik isn't moving this time. So Andre goes over, just puts his foot on him. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's not enough for Andre. Andre picks him up in a full press, just like this, and heaves him from the center of the ring out the aisleway where the heels come in, about halfway down that aisleway, and Sheik's laying there just shaking, just shaking like he knocked senseless. And the referee goes out, and after he raises Andre's hand, Andre comes back and all the guys, hey, man, that was awesome. Andre comes over to Jack and I. What do you think, boss? Think I can be a wrestler? Anything you want to be, Andre.
What did Sheik do? I mean, did Sheik ever say anything about it? What was Sheik's response?
Sheik never said a word. I mean, Sheik the next day, we had TV, or not the next day, but 2 days later, we were all in Tampa, and we had a dressing room where basically we all dressed together there. And so Andre was still in the territory, and Sheik came in. Andre just sat in his corner like nothing ever. I mean, it was nothing to Andre. I mean, it was just whatever in his mind that clicked that night was gone, and he was just good over Andre. Sheik comes in. He's scared to death to come in the locker room. Finally, one of the referees, Stu Schwartz, has to come over and say, Andre, Sheik wants to come into the locker room. Can he come in? Kind of like when you guys used to kick guys out of our locker room. They had to ask permission to come back in. So I'm not saying you were like Andre and being a bully or anything, because God knows you were never a bully. You were a badass, but you were never a bully. So anyway, the referee comes over, hey, can Sheik come in the locker room? And Andre, sure, boss, sure. So Sheik comes in, he sets as far away from Andre as he possibly can in the locker room. Fortunately, they're not working together that night. So Sheik didn't say a word. So next day we're doing TV. Andre's gone. He don't have to do TV because he's out of the loop. He's just there for that week, and he's not doing the loop, so he don't have TV to make. So we're all there doing TV. So I want to know. I want to know what's going on. So I want to know where the Sheik. Sheik, what happened in St. Petersburg? Why the heat? I don't know, baby. He said, Andre the Giant, he thinks I'm a bully. He told me I'm a bully and he's going to beat the shit out of me every time. Please, boss, please don't book me again with Andre when he comes back into town. Please, I'll put anybody over, So we worked out a deal where we wouldn't book him against Andre anymore, even though everybody wanted us to do it just to see the excitement.
Was Sheik, was he a bully or was he just stiff?
No, Sheik would just Sheik was a great wrestler, and as you know, you're a great wrestler. When you're damn good with tough ass wrestler like the Sheik and some of the other guys, you get a little stiff on the guy, and you get all of a sudden you're getting a bad reputation that you're stiff and everything. The Sheik just was one of those guys that worked snug. You knew where he was all the time because he was a snug worker, and it wasn't because he was trying to. I mean, if he wanted to shoot on somebody, I don't think there would be too many guys. Andre would be one of them that she could not be. But there wasn't too many guys.
Legit, right?
Pardon?
Sheik was legit, right? I mean, he was a
Sheik. Oh yeah, he was actually on the Iranian Olympic Greco team, and he was brought over by. You've been in the Iowa Hall of Fame. You've left your phone on the table and sent messages from Waterloo, Iowa. But the guy who brought Sheik over, Alan Rice, he has a wing, the Greco-Roman wing named after him. He actually brought Sheik over to coach the U.S. He spotted him over in Iran, and Sheik was walked down Iran really bad because bad things were happening over there. And so Alan Rice said, I'll bring you over if you'll coach the United States Greco-Roman team. So Alan Rice was a respectable citizen and a very wealthy citizen. He wrote the check out and going through the government procedures. And actually, he was the one that brought the Iron Sheik into the United States. And he coached the United States Olympic wrestling team for, I think, 2 cycles. And then he was, he wanted to make some more money. And Vern Gagne and Alan Rice were good friends. So Vern went to Alan. And Alan kind of went to Vern and said, hey, I got this Iranian guy, and it was during the time where Iran and America was doing one of their things. And he'd be a great character for you. So that's basically how the Iron Sheik even got into professional wrestling, was through this Alan Rice, this guy that was a great supporter of the United States wrestling Greco team.
And Sheik was a coach for 2 cycles of the Greco-Roman USA team.
USA Olympic team, yes. And he put on training camps and training seminars and everything in Greco-Roman, because Greco-Roman was just starting to catch on in the United States. Greco-Roman's the oldest form of wrestling, and it was, worldwide, like especially in those countries like Iran, Iraq, and Saudi over there, all those countries. That's their specialty is Greco. Now it's back at freestyle, but back in those days it was Greco. United States, it was just starting to get that groundswell where it was starting to grow, and not many people knew enough. Alan Rice was a visionary in amateur wrestling, and he saw, hey man, this guy would be a good coach over there, because Sheik had a little, even when he came over, he spoke the same way he does now, just a little broken English, and where you get just done. But from what I understand, he coached Brad Reagan, matter of fact.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Iron Sheik was Brad Reagan's coach.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Brad Reagan's trained me. He trained Brock Lesnar. He trained Vader. He trained a bunch. Brad at one time was the best trainer in wrestling.
At one time he was, and he probably still could be if he wanted to be.
Yeah, he still could be if he wanted to.
He was on the Olympic team, the '82 Olympic team, I think it was, that the United States boycotted, and they had a big ceremony for him a few years ago, and I was invited. And Brad asked me to sit at his table, and I said, man, I'm so glad you're here. Somebody that I can talk to, somebody I know. I said, Brad, you're on a team with all these guys. He said, I know, but you know what I mean. But yeah, she coached Brad when Brad was coming up in Greco.
Yeah, Brad was a Greco-Roman world champion, and he would have been gold medalist if they hadn't boycotted, because that was a problem they had with Russia back then, and Jimmy Carter boycotted.
Exactly, that's exactly right. But that's how kind of Sheik and Brad, they had a real strong relationship, a coach wrestler relationship, and Brad kind of spoke to Vern about Sheik coming in also. So Brad's partly responsible, along with Alan Rice, of getting Sheik into the business.